Good evening. We are live tonight. We are super excited. I'm joined tonight with my colleague and partner, Lindsay, all the way from America. So if Lindsay, give us a wave and a quick hi.
Hello from New York, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We just have a couple of people still sort of coming in and out, so excuse the disruptions. But guys, we are live on Facebook, we are live here on Zoom, and we're here to share our wonderful J1 intern trainee program with you. We have our special guest, Lindsay, joining us today to share a little bit more from the partner's perspective, their role, and hopefully answer any sort of pressing questions that you have. So let's get into it and introduce us as OVC and also our partners in a little bit more detail. So who is the OVC? Well, we are the largest and oldest travel company in South Africa. We've been around now. This is our 75th year of business. Can you believe it? And we've been working with AAG for quite a number of years now. And we've been helping young South Africans throughout South Africa, as well as Namibia and other countries in the past in Africa, to go abroad and be a part of our J1 program. My name is Robin, the program manager for the program, and I just kind of oversee. I work with our partners each day just to make sure that the transition from getting from South Africa across to the US is as smooth as possible. We talk daily. We make sure your journey here, there, support-wise, everything is a smooth one. Who is Alliance Abroad? Tonight we have Lindsay joining us, my day-to-day partner, Andrew, who's actually on a recruitment fair in the Philippines at the moment, and a very long-time friend now, Crystal Bunce, who's the Vice President of the Alliance Abroad, all of the J1 programs and exchange programs and things exciting. But more importantly, tonight we have Lindsay, who's part of the Alliance Abroad team. Lindsay, do you want to maybe tell us a little bit about your role within the company and how you make this all work for us?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Robin, for having me. I'm super happy to be here and see all of these faces already, potential J1s. It gets me excited. But yeah, I am the director of the intern and trainee program here at Alliance Abroad Group. And so basically, I get the joy of working with people like Robin and agencies all over the world that recruit people like yourselves to come on this wonderful J1 program. Our organization, we are a designated sponsor by our United States government, and so we are trusted by our government to run these programs. I've been in this industry for a long time. I love what I do, and I love always seeing sort of new faces and the excitement that comes with the potential of coming on this wonderful program.
Fantastic. So great hands on that side. And I think the partnership between us and Alliance Abroad really makes the journey smooth. And you know that as us and them, you can trust us as partners to work with. Our placements are throughout the United States, so that opportunity to see very many places in America. Obviously from corner to corner, you'll hear different accents. There's different cultures, landscapes, cityscapes, all that kind of thing to explore. So when you think about going to the US, you might have those popular places, New York, hello, come to mind, but there are so many different places you might never have heard from. So when you choose a position to be interviewed for and with in a company that you might be keen to have a placement with, always be open-minded, because you never know what lies ahead of you. And there's so many different parts of America to explore. You get time off, you can see, you can do. So lots of different placements throughout. Lindsay will share a little bit more about that as well. If you want a good source of info and feedback, we have a lot of our clients overseas at the moment, on program, returned from program, so all of these stories are featured all of our socials, and we like to keep in touch with you while you're on the program. So these are the stories and these are the pictures that you could be sharing with us in the future. So a little bit about eligibility. To qualify, you need to be around 18 to 30, have a valid passport. multinational. So each nationality is a little different from each other's when it comes to visas and can you or can't you do the program. So loosely, South African and Namibian passports, no issue. Any other African passport holder is sort of a case by case. Not that we can't assist, we just have to check visa regulations, as there have been a couple of changes with that, with the current administration. So first of all, we have our two different categories. You've heard us talking tonight about intern and you've heard us talking about trainee. Now, an intern is an applicant who is currently in their tertiary studies towards culinary, tourism, hospitality, or anything in line, because in South Africa, we have lots of different colleges and tertiary places, and they all call their qualifications different things. So basically your current student, as long as you are studying something to do with a job or position in a hotel or resort or culinary, F&B, you could be studying tourism management, that will all count to qualify for the program. So if you've done a minimum of a 1-year course in classroom, full-time, attending classes, you would qualify as a current student. And then obviously, if you are about to graduate, let's say you're graduating in Feb, March, April, that would be you, the intern. We have the interns of this year. If you graduated anywhere Feb to May, which is quite normal. And then we have our guys that graduate a little bit later, around mid-year, July, August-ish. They would also be categorized as interns because you are within 1 year of graduating. Once you've passed a year of graduating, so if you have a look at your qualification and it says July 2024, and you are now more than 1 year past, to qualify for the trainee category, you have to show 1 year's worth of work experience in references to qualify as a trainee. Then we have our last trainee category, which are the guys that maybe haven't studied or have studied, but have 5+ years work experience. So if you've worked as a chef or a waiter or a hotel front desk for 5 years consistently in a position, or maybe multiple companies, but you've got 5 years worth of experience, you would qualify as our trainees. So interns and trainees, and 4 different ways to qualify on the program. Then we talk, next slide, about the types of positions. So when you take on a program training plan, you'll largely be in categories such as culinary, your food and beverage, and then there's the front office, which goes across to rooms, housekeeping, supervisory, kind of a mix of positions. Very rare and almost uncommon that you will rotate in all 3 positions that you see on the screen. But otherwise, when you sign up, you'll say, I would like to be a culinarian. I would like to work in F&B. And we will place you in what we call a training plan program for that year. That program will be 12 months. And after your 12 months, you will also receive a 30-day grace period on your visa. That allows you to go and explore America. And thereafter, you are required to leave the US and return home to your home country. The visas are not extendable. The programs are not extendable. So this is just a growing experience. It's a way to get international experience. It's a way to work in some fantastic resorts overseas, and just get that international resume branding, which we all importantly know in South Africa is so much, of need and demand with a lot of companies that are here. Have you worked overseas? Have you traveled? Hospitality is so international. So it's great to have that J1 12 months work experience listed on your resume. Lindsay, can you talk us through? I actually forgot about the slides we discussed, but I think it's coming still. But just right on the slide I've been on and onto this one with placements, talk to us about the kinds of placements that are out there.
Yeah, definitely. So as you can see from the slide here, it says placements within 4 to 5-star hotels and resorts. And here at Alliance Abroad Group, we have such a wide range of what we call host companies. Those are going to be the organizations that you're training at. We call them host companies. And we have such a wide variety. So we do have your very well-known brand names, your 4 and 5 stars. So your Ritz-Carltons of the world and your JW Marriott's and your St. Regis, those types of locations that everyone knows those brand names, very high-end luxury locations. And then we also have perhaps, maybe a step down from that, we have sort of Marriott's and Hyatt's and Hilton's, all, but again, very brand name things that everyone internationally would know about. We also have a number of family resorts as well that offer amazing programs. And then we have also a number of unique locations that might not have that brand name recognition, but that really offer really tremendous, amazing programs. So it doesn't matter exactly what you're looking for. I think we have a solution for you. And perhaps if you have a little bit less experience, maybe a certain type of host company is better for you. Whereas if you have maybe 5 or 6 years of experience at that higher end level, then you can find a wonderful host company that would be willing to welcome you as well. So yeah, lots of different offerings. And like Robin said, from all over the country. And so I do understand that a lot of people, they want to go to some of the bigger cities like New York or Miami or LA. But in reality, some of our most wonderful programs happen in places that you might not have heard of. Real quickly, I'll just say that I had a chance to travel to Montana this past summer and visited one of our host companies there, and in a bit of a rural location. And it was just beautiful, amazing location. They offer a wonderful placement as well. So as Robin said, I would say, like, make sure you're approaching this with a very open mind, because there are amazing placements, outside of those core cities that you might think of when you think of the US.
Perfect. And also to add to this, the placements are year round. So whenever you are ready, we will send you. It's not when is the next group going or who's going and when are they going and that kind of thing. We work per your needs. So if you say you'd like to leave from February, we would look at host companies that are hiring from February, and you would look at all the options for February or March or whatever. So we work on your timing and when you wish to be on the program. Then we look at the hiring process. So this is the most scary thing. A lot of people are like, am I going to get picked? But what if they don't like me? And will I get hired? And if I apply, will I get hired? Guys, as Lindsay said, there's a lot of varying from the employer's side, the host company side, experience versus not experienced. Obviously some like a Ritz-Carlton might want 2-3 years of fine dining or other kinds of experience, but generally speaking, they're looking for applicants with enthusiasm, with drive, that have a passion for the hospitality industry, that can communicate, that are punctual, that are going to be on time at work, that are going to be able to work as a team with the other J1s on program, that are going to fit in with their current staff at work at the hotel. You want to be able to bring your culture into the workplace and really just be positive and work as a team that side. So I know it's scary, it's an interview, but let's say you do have your first interview with the first company and it doesn't work out. We simply go back to the drawing board and we ask you to look back at the options and choices that you have available and to pick another resort. And then we set up another interview. And some applicants, it does take 2 or 3 times to have interviews to get hired. But every single one of our applicants will eventually find the place that they're suited to. And we encourage you in that interview process, don't just get asked questions. You need to ask in questions. You need to be engaged with the conversation. Do your research on the resort. You need to be asking questions. You need to make the interviewer, whether it be the chef or the HR or whoever does that interviews, make them believe, not just because, but really that you genuinely have an interest in working at that host company because it suits your personality, what you're trying to learn and experience and gain from that company. Not just because it's a job and you want to take the job. It's got to be because it's a little bit more than that. Okay. Anything else on hiring, Lindsay, that you can think of?
I will 100% agree that they want to see energy and enthusiasm and passion for the field that you're in. That is what they're looking for. They understand this is a training program and that you might not have, years and years of experience. That's why it's called an internship and a trainee program. But what they absolutely want to see is that you care about what you do and you can speak to that. So that is what I would say. And of course, all the other things there, punctuality, professionalism, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need to go into those details. Yeah.
Americans are very, very on the ball with that, I think.
We are very punctual. Yes.
Okay. So run us through like what a training plan looks like, what they can expect hours wise, pay rates wise and things like that. And how do the training phases work of a J1 program?
Definitely. So, as you may or may not know, this program is governed by our Department of State, our government. And so there are certain regulatory requirements that all host companies must follow. And AAG, as a sponsor, needs to make sure that they're following those. So, number one, you are going to be guaranteed a minimum of 32 hours per week of training. So that it could be more than that, right? So maybe you're used to working or training 40 hours a week, and it could be like that or more, but at a very minimum, you should have 32 hours per week. In terms of the training plan, which is formally called the DS 7002, this is something that you will be able to review and sign off on, and your host company signs off on before you come on program. And it's going to detail everything you're going to be learning, who's going to be supervising you, how they're going to measure your success. And then, of course, because this is a cultural program, it is also going to include some details about cultural activities that you can do in your local community. Um, a requirement of hospitality programs is that you have to have 3 different phases. So you are going to be taking part in either different areas of your field, learning new things, or in different departments. That is a requirement. So it really presents that you are getting an amazing training opportunity by having access to all different areas of the host company that you're going to be staying at. I think outside of training, I would think that the next most important thing to you guys is social life, right? You're coming to the United States for a reason. You want to experience the culture, and that is what this program is all about. Many of our host companies, they welcome multiple J1s at a time. So not only are you going to have the opportunity to spend time with and mingle with your American counterparts, but you're also going to be able to meet people from all over the world. I really wish I had a program like this when I was your age, to be honest, because I would have absolutely loved it. But it is such a great opportunity to make lifelong friendships. So I hope that you do take advantage of that. In terms of compensation, which I know is also very important, you see a range here of $11 to $25 an hour. And that might make you nervous, like, well, I don't want to be making $11 an hour. I want to be making the ones that are $25 an hour. But what I will say is that these compensation rates are mostly based on what area of the country you're going to be in. So where I live in New York, it's quite expensive. Cost of living is super expensive. So you would expect to be getting paid closer to the $20 to $25 an hour range. Whereas perhaps some of the states in the South, the cost of living is much less. And so you're probably going to see that $14 to $15 hourly rate. So please don't be discouraged if you see a position that you really love and then all of a sudden it's like, oh gosh, it's $14 an hour. It is $14 an hour because that is going to be, good for you in that part of the country. And so that is what I will say. Um, there is a program assessment for this 12-month program halfway through and at the end of the program. Again, this is Department of State required, but we also, as a sponsor, we want to know how you're doing. And so there is a semi-formal process of between you and your supervisor, making sure that they are staying on point, that they're following their training plan, that you're getting everything out of the program that you want, and generally just to make sure that you are happy with the program. We also do monthly check-ins, that is part of our role as a sponsor, and we really, really want to make sure that you are doing well while you're on program.
Perfect. No, I think you've covered that topic really well. And, whenever I do these webinars, I always learn something new. So thanks for the guidance there, Lindsay. So you touched briefly on cost of living and living up north and south and inland and outland and coastal and all that kind of thing. You do get paid the hourly rate. You will be taxed. And obviously that's going to vary quite a bit. But there are going to be living expenses. So, like you live in South Africa, for example, and you have a salary and you've got expenses with that. Talk us through some of the expenses that an intern trainee could expect that side.
Yeah, so I think probably the number one cost of living expense that you're going to have is housing, right? So housing and the utilities associated with that. In many instances, our host companies arrange housing for you, or it's called host company provided. So they arrange everything, and then you are just paying them, or they're taking out of your salary each month the cost of housing. In other instances, especially more in the bigger cities, it's hard for host companies to secure that housing on your behalf. But what we require all of our host companies to do is to provide us with places that you can go that are affordable. So we will be providing that to you. That is part of the offer that you receive. It will list a couple of housing options. That's definitely going to be your number one cost. Outside of that is going to be monthly groceries. What I would say is I do know that a lot of people come to the United States and they're like, wow, groceries are expensive. That doesn't mean that you can't find reasonable groceries in the US. I think it just takes a little bit more ingenuity and probably asking your supervisors or your coworkers, at work where that you can find reasonable groceries. Transportation to and from your host company is often provided again by the host company. It really depends on the location where they are, and what they have. But some of them do offer transportation to and from. We always want our exchange visitors to live as close to the host company as possible, so that will minimize the cost of transportation. And then, of course, you have the program fees for this experience. And I don't know if Robin wants to talk a little bit more to that, but that definitely is something to consider when thinking about coming on program.
Yeah, yeah. We'll definitely touch back on program fees when we go to the slide a little bit later. But yeah, I think let me touch on it then. But just bear that in mind as part of your monthlies or your bi-monthlies and things that you'll have to cover. So the most important part about having Lindsay here tonight, guys, is to ensure your safety on the American side. So we don't just send you into the abyss and hope you have a great time and maybe we'll see you when you get back. That's the importance of these programs. There's all these scams and human trafficking and people warn you about things. And the nice thing about a J1 program is such of the in-country support. So we touched on it before about being a J1 designated sponsor, about Department of State and those kind of things. But again, back to you, Lindsay, to give us the proper ins and outs of all that in-country and your support on program.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, and like Robin has just said, Department of State is the overseer of this program. And so they want to make sure that we're keeping track of your health, safety, and welfare. And we take that very seriously. We have an entire team that is dedicated to just support of our exchange visitors while they are in country. So I do want you to know that we take that very, very seriously. And we want to make sure that you are safe and that you are happy and that you are healthy. Part of our support is our travel insurance. So while you are on program, you need to have emergency medical insurance, and that is provided as part of our program fee. Another thing, as I mentioned earlier, we are checking in with you monthly, and we do want your honest feedback about how things are going. Our support team, if there is an issue, perhaps you feel like you're not getting the hours that you deserve, or something is wrong with someone that you're living with, whatever it is, we are there to help you and to support you through the program. And that, if we don't hear about it though, we can't help you. And so that is why the importance of completing these monthly check-ins when you're on program, it's so important so that we can get an understanding of what's going on with you. J1 visa assistance as well, that is a huge portion of what we do working with OVC and working with Robin directly. We want you to be successful at the consulate. And I know perhaps you've heard stories recently. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news about our program as a whole. What I will say is that we continue to operate and we continue to be successful, and people continue to be successful at the consulate. As long as you are well prepared, and that's part of our job, is to make sure that you are prepared for your consulate interview and you are coming on program for the right reasons, I don't see that there will be an issue. There are denials from time to time. I'm not going to say that there aren't, but we really have had a lot of success in South Africa, and I don't see any reason why that is going to be changing.
Mhm.
So anyway, sorry to get a little bit serious on there, but I just wanted to make sure that we did cover some of those things.
Got to be
Um, Yes, but yeah, so moving on to housing, this is something that I talked about earlier. We do screen all of the housing leads that host companies provide us with. We want to make sure that you have affordable housing that is close to your host company, and that is something that we make sure that we do. You are also welcome, of course, in many instances to find your own housing. But I do think it's a lot easier when we're providing you all the tools that you need to get that set up. And then finally, we have an entire team that is dedicated to our host company relationships. And so we take that very seriously as well. We follow, obviously, all of the Department of State regulations for screening host companies, but we add on our own screening in addition to that as well. We are making sure that the host companies are getting into this for the right reasons too. So we're doing it on both sides. We want to make sure that you are coming to this program for the right reasons, but also that the host companies want to welcome J1 exchange visitors for the right reasons, and that they are actually going to be able to offer this training opportunity to you.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. And then we have obviously how this all comes together. So if you like what you hear and you would like to go ahead with the process, and you have, I always like to push this in my office, 80% of the finances available, we can start the journey. So we're going to register you and create an online profile. Your portal is what goes with you from today when you start, and it remains with you throughout your program. So everything to do with your check-ins and your payments and your online application and your signing of all your contracts and everything like that happens on your portal. So you're going to send some paperwork through. It comes to me, I give the green light, and then the offices around the country will help you with your AAG portal. But essentially, you need to get familiar with that portal. The quicker you can, the better. You're going to go through to the acceptance stage. After a bit of screening and little, internal screening and things. And eventually you'll get this amazing list and website that you can go onto, and you can even get the full offer letters from us of all the different host companies that are hiring. So you're going to look at all your things. You're going to look at your housing. You're going to look at your location of the resort to the housing, the cost of living in the area, the pay rates. You're going to look at the style of the resorts, and you're going to check all those boxes. You're not just going to go look at that paycheck amount. Please, guys, don't just look at that hourly rate and go, that's the one for me. So you're going to look at all those different factors we've spoken about tonight, but we will tell you at the office level and remind you again. You're going to find the host company for you. You're going to interview with that host company, and you're going to get hired. And after you're hired, we move straight on to the visa. Once your visa appointment has been done and you've been approved, then we will book the flights. After that, we will do the preparation. Now, if we go back to when you got hired, and in that time of hiring and visas, that's when you're going to start reaching out to those housing leads, unless it's a resort and host company that provides the housing and you don't have to worry. You're just going to kind of arrive and it's all there. But between that stage of getting hired and visas and then getting approved, we can't book your flights unless your housing is secured. So in that interim is when housing gets discussed and secured. So by the time your visa is approved, you've got an apartment to go to, you're on a flight, and you are off on your way, and we've done a preparation for you, and you are on your way to the US. Now, this entire process from registering to the time you put your bum on a plane and off you go to America generally can take as quick as 3 months. And sometimes with other applicants, it can take a little bit longer. So if you have the idea in your head that between now and December or January or February, you'd like to be in America, then start your application now. What do you need to budget for in terms of costs? You're going to pay your application fee to get started, and then you're going to pay your program fee. Now, this is where AAG comes to the party and really helps you out to bring those upfront costs down. You can pay a fee in total. You will pay a fee, let's put it this way, of $2,400 for your program fee. Now, that includes the placement, the screening, the insurance, the in-country support, everything you've heard about tonight. However, you can pay it over a period of time. You pay $800 in South Africa, And then when you are on the program, you're going to pay the remaining $1,600. So that really saves you. I think last I looked, it was almost like 30 odd thousand that you don't have to pay upfront, and you get that option to pay it while you're in America. So that helps you quite a lot. So you've got your 9950, you've paid your $800. Now you're going to go to the embassy, you're going to pay your SEVIS and your visa fee, and your visa gets approved, and then you're onto your flights. Now, flights also varies quite a bit, because flying into New York, flying to California, flying up north, inland, all that sort of thing, flight prices are going to vary quite a lot destination-wise, time of year that you fly, and there's a lot of other variables. So we kind of give you like a range there. Now, with your spending money that you take over with, this is not a maybe, it's not a negotiable, it is you will fly with this money, okay? Now, the reason you have to fly with the money is because when you arrive in the US, that housing and that landlord that's waiting for you wants his rent deposit. He wants his first month's rent or his first 2 weeks' rent. So you arrive in America, and your biggest expense on arrival, unless you've had to prepay it, is going to be your housing. Now, that's going to come out of your spending money. When you arrive in the US, normally and generally for all my life, I've known that Americans generally tend to be paid on this program bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks is the payroll. But depending on when you arrive, you may be paid after 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, depending on where the company's payroll runs. So you need to eat, you need to get to and from work, you might need to buy some own personal items or anything like that, just to initially set your life up. Once your paychecks start coming in, that's great. You will live on your paychecks, but that initial spending money has to be in full when you fly as a minimum to fly with. And if you add up all of those amounts, they come to roughly 70,000 Rand at this stage that you'll need to budget. So if you're sitting at home and you have about 45, 50,000 Rand ready and available, start your program now. Don't wait. While you are getting placed, while you're doing interviews, getting visas, you can get that remaining portion, and that remaining portion is often the money that you fly with. So we don't want to delay the process. We don't want to get halfway and then you have to pull out because you don't have your flight money. We don't want to sort of juggle and push out a host company because you can't arrive on time because you don't have the finances. So please, finance is very, very important. You can go into your OVC office, you can chat the nitty gritties, but this is what it is. So hopefully that's covered enough of what you need for tonight on the finances. But as I say, just chat to the office and they can explain it in more detail. But you definitely don't walk into our offices with a wonderful 70,000 Rand check. It is going to be paid over time. So you'll start your application fee today. And as and when each of the costs and processes are happening, you will pay those fees at the relevant time frame. As you know, we have social media, so you can find us all over. We have offices all over, so please do reach out. I did pop a message on the chat box, so if you have missed it, please do pop onto the chat box, pop in your name and your location, just so we can make sure your OVC office is in contact with you. We have a lot of users on with Samsungs and things like that, so we want to know who you are. So please do share your name with us tonight so we can make sure we can get you all the info by tomorrow and on your way. From my side, that's pretty much it for info and sharing with you tonight. We are going to hand over for a few questions if you have. Lindsay, from your side, anything that you want to add to in closing on any of those last few points?
No, nothing. Just I'm really excited to see so many faces here. I hope that you guys take advantage of this program. It really is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And yeah, I hope to see you in the United States.
Awesome. Okay, guys, so over to you. You will have to just raise your hand. So if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand. I can unmute you. Or if you want to just quickly type your question in the question box. If you've got all the information you need for tonight, you are welcome to log out, and thank you very much for listening. But if you do have one or two questions and you want to hang around, we are here and available. So please do pop your hand up or put your questions in the chat box. I have that open, and don't forget to leave us with your name. Awesome. Yeah, exciting. Let's see. Anybody got any questions? Everybody generally goes quiet at this stage for a little bit, and then we get a few questions. Hi, there we go. Let's see. Sorry, let me go to participants. Right. Let's go to the top here. Okay, cool. Sivanele, hello. Welcome to our talk tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
We can. Go for it.
My name is Sifanele, obviously, but I also I prefer CV. So I just wanted to find out, with in terms of like payments, right? I did miss, I think the network on my side is a bit of an issue today, but I just want to find out that so the total amount that we need is about 70,000 that covers everything. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. Unless we all of a sudden have a terrible exchange rate fluctuation, but for the moment, that is a safe bet, yes.
Okay, and then which portion are you able to pay like over a few months? Because I know, for example, if I've got like some money that I have at the moment, what would the amount, the estimated amount rather be for me to be able to leave?
So the amount of the 70, unfortunately, is the actual amount that has to be budgeted for at this stage. That's if you look at this second line here, program fee of $800. We using that figure to calculate the total. So the balance of the $800 is $1,600 because your program fee is $2,400, but you get that option of either some applicants like to pay that $2,400 in full, or you pay only the 800 and then you pay the 1,600 back in America over 5 installments. However, the figure of 70 is based on that 800 figure. So everything you see is payable. The 70 is the minimum required. And then the other on top of that $1,600 gets settled in America while you're on your program.
Yeah, and just a note about that, the remaining 1,600 is we give you a month to get settled before we start those installments. So, when Robin was talking about when you first arrive and your landlord wants the, deposit and everything like that, it's hopefully a little bit of a relief that you have that month to kind of settle in before you start to have to owe us back in the installments.
Perfect. She did mute, but if you want to ask again or add to, just put your hand up. There was a question on if I'm already in America, can we do anything? If you are on a J1 program already, the rule of a J1 visa is that you do have to come back to South Africa, and then you have a 2-year wait period, and then you're only able to do the J1 again. So if you're in America at the moment and you're looking for another American option, unfortunately, we wouldn't have anything at this stage, but maybe as I say, after the wait period, but not touching on it tonight. Feel free to reach out to the office and we can see what other options there might be to fill the gap until you can go back to America. Yeah, cool. Internships in other countries, yes, we do. I don't want to touch on that too much tonight. So please reach out to your offices. We have lots of programs. Obviously, if you go onto our websites and things, you'll see we've got lots of other programs. So you can just shoot onto that and check out our other options. So for tonight, we're just focusing on any J1 questions. Any other questions about eligibility requirements, host companies? Just to let you guys know, we are hiring right now for a Ritz-Carlton in Florida, so that's super exciting. I don't know if we have any other fairs coming up or anything else you can think of offhand, Lindsay.
I think we're gearing up for 2026 right now, for the beginning of 2026. So we do have a lot of companies coming that are looking to get back on track in 2026. Lots of brand names like Ritz-Carlton and stuff, but of course, right now I can't think of anything specific.
Yeah. I know Andrew and I in our meeting last week, we were talking about the new PGA, which sounds super exciting. The golfing hotel or like resorts or whatever. That's
I know. I kind of want to check it out myself, to be honest. But yeah, no, that sounds like they're hiring a lot right now as well. So
Yeah,
that is definitely one that we are recruiting for a
yeah,
lot at the
yeah,
moment. There's
yeah.
also a new property, Ithaca Hospitality, that's hiring for a lot of people right now, and they are located in a college town in Alabama. And I will say college towns are always great places to be located. Lots of culture there,
Okay,
definitely.
cool.
Yeah.
So we have a question here. When you say we can work in different departments within hospitality, does that mean someone who studied culinary could also have opportunities in hospitality management? Maybe just talk about the culinary rotation a little bit, maybe the F&B rotation, and then the most common, I guess, with the rooms, housekeeping, front desk kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So unfortunately, no, if you are culinary, your entire program is going to be in culinary arts. You can't really take part in any other area. But typically it would be different parts of the kitchen. So you could do like garde manger, for one phase, and you could be on the grill for one phase, or you could be doing like sauces and saucier, that kind of a thing for one phase. So it's just different parts of the kitchen that you would be located in for culinary side. We also have specific culinary pastry programs as well. So if you're someone who has that background, we're always looking for people in pastry, and that would be different areas of the pastry department as well. For F&B, oh, sorry, and for culinary arts, a lot of times there is a supervisory or like leadership management kind of phase as well for more on the trainee side. And again, for food and beverage as well, you could be in banquets for one rotation. You could be in a server rotation. You could be in event planning. There's lots of different areas of food and beverage that you could be in. And then again, more of like a restaurant management type of role as well for food and beverage.
Mhm.
Front desk is typically going to be doing, typical front desk activities, guest services. Sometimes concierge would be included in a front desk program. And then we have rooms division, which is generally like housekeeping management, and those types of roles would be included in that. The
Mhm.
only area where I would say where you're like really changing departments is we do have some programs that are called hospitality rotational. And those are going to be typically at maybe some smaller size hotels where you will have the opportunity to interchange more of a front desk type of role with more of a rooms role. But I would say that those are limited, the hospitality rotational roles that we do
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, because we have seen those plans, and then people ask, "Oh, can I do F&B and rooms and front desk?" And I'm like, "No, generally not. It's more the back end of the housekeeping supervisory, and then the office
Yes.
role and that kind of thing." Yeah. So
Yeah.
your 12 months generally gets broken up into like say 3 months here, 3 months there, or something like that. So
Yes.
again, like Lindsay was saying, your training plan, you actually receive that as part of the whole process before you even go for your visa, and you have to sign off on your training plan. So you read each of the phases and says, from this date to this date, this is your exact role. And then from this date to this date, this is your exact role. So it's important to read that, because if you feel that you're not learning enough, or that it's not advanced enough, or if it's going to be too difficult for you, or if it crosses into departments that you might not be interested in doing, it gets tricky. So rather you want to be happy with your placement that you're going to. So make sure, and I know it's, we all said, read the paperwork, read the offer, read the housing and stuff, read your stuff. Yeah, read from start to finish. And I know everybody just signs, but please do read it so that you have success on your program.
Yeah, our job offers are incredibly detailed, down to everything from will you have to pay for the uniform, what type of shoes will you need to bring. All of those things are detailed in our offer letters, and so you will have all of that information to make an educated decision.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so that was the department note. Okay, so we have a 32 finished studying 2018. So with the age, if you are over the age of 30 and first of all, let's look at your qualification. You're 2018, which means that you'd fall as a trainee. Generally speaking, we have cut our age for trainees to 30, just purely because of we spoke about it, denial rates at the embassies. We're not saying that you cannot apply, but there is a very high risk of a visa denial if you are over the age of 30 and you're a trainee applicant. So someone like yourself, Pinky, it would be a bit high risk. So you just need to speak to your OVC office of what the financial risks are should you apply for the program at 32. And then Lindsay, there's a question, the next one from Kamahilo. How does your center balance providing authentic cultural experience for international visitors while ensuring local communities better benefit economically and socially from tourism? I don't know if you
That's a loaded one.
sort of maybe break down.
So what I would say, number one, is every year there is a ton of information compiled about the J1 program. There is support for the J1 program on what we say both sides of the aisle. So both sides of our government support this J1 program. And what I would say is that one of the bits of data that they collect every single year is the financial benefit of having these J1s in country. So J1 program is about 300,000 participants every single year. And the financial impact that makes by having all of those people here is tremendous. And so number one, I would say, if nothing else, money speaks. And so that is a huge statement, that all of the money that is being brought to the United States from these programs, but also the local communities truly benefit from the cultural exchange that happens when you come to the United States. They are learning so much about you. Perhaps they've never met someone from South Africa and they don't really know much about South Africa. You are there as an ambassador for your country. And every single year we hear just amazing stories of the impact that people have had on their local communities. So not only are you learning about us while you're here in the United States, but we are learning about you. And I think, as we can all attest, that is becoming more and more important every single day. So yeah, definitely, I would say such a positive impact on local communities throughout the United States.
Cool. Lovely answer. You got a heart from that, so I think you did a good job. All right, guys. Well, Lindsay, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here tonight. We have recorded this session, guys, so we will share it on our socials and we'll get that out to you guys so you can catch up on what you missed if your network was a bit off tonight. I was going to pop a brochure on the chat, but I see everybody's sort of headed out and whatever. The brochures, the content, the summaries of this, the recordings, you can have it all and you can take it to your folks. You can sit with them and they can have a listen. But it truly is an amazing experience for you to go to the US to get this experience, to brand your resume. We work with a brilliant partner. We have absolutely amazing host companies waiting to hire you. So I know it's a lot of money, but if you can gather the funds together, you will not regret your experience of working in one of these fantastic establishments. So from my side, a big thank you to our audience tonight. Over to you, Lindsay, for your final goodbyes. And thank you so much. Sorry, before I shoot you off. Absolutely. Thank you. Last minute joining me with Andrew's trip. I appreciate that. And you've brought a wealth of knowledge tonight for us. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin. And no problem joining. Very, very always happy to see potential J1 exchange visitors. Every day I kind of work in the mire of paperwork. And so it's always wonderful to see some of your faces and to hear some of the feedback. I wish you guys lots of luck. And like Robin said, I know it's a big investment, but this is an investment in your future. And again, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of it. And really looking forward to having you be a part of Alliance Abroad Group along with OVC. So thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely evening. Bye.